Did you know that the US is the third largest pork producer of the world? There are 6 million sows in the country in a highly efficient industry, but there's one disease that threats the economic profitability of this industry. This disease is called PRRS and it affects sows and piglets. My name is ELIANA, PALADINO, and today I'm going to talk about my project called Forecasting Piglet Production After Exposure to PRRS. The main objective of the industry is to produce healthy pigs to send to the market after their growing phase. But everything starts in the farrowing room. After 16 weeks of pregnancy, sows will deliver their piglets and stay with them for 20 days in lactation. In this phase, PRRS can be the biggest challenge to a sow farm. The acronym PRRS stands for Porcine Respiratory Reproductive Syndrome, caused by a virus, and especially in pregnant sows, it causes many losses, including abortions, fetal death, mummification, stillbirth, and pre-weaning mortality. PRRS is today considered the most costly disease to the industry. When a PRRS outbreak happens in a sow farm, usually veterinarians and producers decide to control or eliminate the disease. For that, it's necessary to proceed with what is called whole herd exposure. That means that the sow farm is closed, new breeding animals are no longer introduced in the farm, and in a specific date, every single sow will receive an immunologic solution. It can be a live modified vaccine or a serum inoculation, which we will call here LVI, that stands for live virus inoculation. In both cases, the goal is to expose every sow in the farm to the virus that is circulating in the herd to guarantee that every animal will develop immunity at the same time. And after a few weeks, all of them will have underlying homogeneous protection. Consequently, the infection will die out. This is a very common procedure that is done in most commercial farms, aiming to control and eliminate the disease. However, it's necessary to consider and remember that sows going under this procedure are pregnant. We are inoculating them with a virus that has vertical transmission and causes fetus mortality and abortions. So before starting the whole herd closure and live virus inoculation, it is necessary to consider that more losses are going to happen besides the one previously caused by the outbreak. Besides the pathogenesis of PRRS infection in pregnant sows, understanding the timing of infection and gestation also matters to the producer and farm managers because they have to plan ahead how many animals are going to be weaned and placed in the nursery rooms. If the farm manager knows how many sows are bred and are farrowing in each week, it is possible to predict the number of piglets that will be weaned later on. For instance, let's say, in average, each sow weans 14 piglets, and in a hypothetical commercial farm, 100 sows are farrowing each week. We can then expect 1,400 piglets being delivered to the nursery rooms. But during a PRRS outbreak followed by LVI, this being a condition where piglets are actively dying, would it be possible to predict the number of animals being weaned in the following weeks? We hypothesize that yes, and here's why. The total gestation period is of 116 days. At any time after implantation, abortions can happen in case of PRRS infection. This is commonly the first clinical sign observed in an outbreak. After 35 days, the skeletons are complete, and if piglets die, they will likely be mummified. Before that, embryos that die will be reabsorbed and cells return to Estes. At 70 days of gestation, fetuses are immunocompetent, and that's also where the highest risk for PRRS infection is. At any point after that, piglets will likely become mummified, stillbirth, or might die in the first days after farrowing. For this project, we will work with data coming from a commercial system that had PRRS outbreaks and proceeded with LVI. We aim to create a model that will help predict losses and forecast the number of weekly weaned piglets after the whole herd exposure. Knowing the number of pregnant sows, their gestation period, and exposure dates, we expect to predict the number of abortions, stillbirths, mummification, and piglet mortality. The LVI has a high effectiveness to either control or eliminate the disease, but it brings extra costs to the producers. The U.S. plays a major role in the global pork industry, in both production and exports. PRRS costs millions of dollars each year, mainly because of the lower availability of pigs in the market. With this research, we expect to support producers and veterinarians to make informed decisions when facing this disease.